Welcome to Gutsy Coach Week and Get Gutsy episode number 102 with Jessica Silverman on nutrition, movement, and mindset. Welcome to Get Gutsy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. A cutting-edge show blending business and spirituality, Get Gutsy serves up a potent blend of stories, lessons, and tips to help you make a massive impact in the world through your soul's work and your inspired life. No more going it alone, no more excuses. The world needs more brave women saying yes to leadership. Are you with me? Good. Let's get gutsy now. Hey everybody, Jenny here. OMG, today is a celebratory day. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary on Get Gutsy. So thank you for being here. Super pumped that you're here. And this is Gutsy Coach Week. Are you having a blast? I'm totally having a blast. We have been featuring all these amazing coaches, these light worker leaders, these extraordinary souls who have said yes to this path of coaching, have said yes to helping people with their spiritual gifts. And I am so excited to be gathering today and interviewing an amazing woman I've had the good fortune of getting to know over this last year. Let me tell you about her, and I want to have lots of time for conversation because she has so much wisdom to share, so just get ready. Her name is Jessica Silverman. She's a holistic wellness and mindset empowerment coach to aspiring entrepreneurs seeking greater clarity and simplicity to live their true life's purpose. Through Jessica's coaching, she will guide you with mind-body empowerment tools to spark the transformation of a physical and spiritual awakening to live and feel your most alive self. Jessica, welcome to Get Gutsy, and let's have some fun during Gutsy Coach Week today, shall we?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Jenny. I mean, honestly, this is a real pleasure because as I'll tell you sort of in part of my story, your podcast is actually a large part and a key part of my journey. And so now it's an honor to actually be on the podcast and to share this with other people in your community.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I love those entry points in. Like, how did you get into this world that I have created and stepped in, and is through the podcast? So do you remember the first ever episode that you listened to?
Gosh, no, I should look back at that because you mentioned, the date that this is airing.
Yeah.
And actually, I believe it's probably like to the year because I remember I found you around this time of year, a year ago. It's either late November, early December. Mm-hmm. And I was driving to my corporate job, with my husband. We commute together, and we had started listening to podcasts as a way to kind of bide the time for our hour-and-a-half commute to San Francisco every day.
Wow.
And actually, I found the podcast through someone first told me about your book, Get Gutsy.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody I connected with online. And I looked it up, I ordered the book, and it's kind of like, the usual, you buy a book and then you're in the middle of something else, so you put it on the bookshelf. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, I was looking for a podcast one day. I think I just Googled like spirituality and meditation, and Get Gutsy came up, and I'm like, wow, that's the girl who does the podcast, and this is the same girl from the book. Mm-hmm. And it's from day one, and it was just, that was literally the spark that started this path to coaching, was the book and then the podcast. So
love
just
that.
Kind of amazing how the connections all jive together, how, one spark leads to another, and then you're just on this beautiful path towards living your purpose. So
absolutely, well said. And what a difference a year can make, right?
Absolutely.
Look at this. Like, you found the podcast a year ago. That's right. We have been airing Get Gutsy for 1 year now. That blows my mind, and what a wild journey it's been. And I'm excited for the next year for sure. I still got gas in the tank. And now your life has changed so much. You don't commute to San Francisco an hour and a half each way every day anymore.
I don't. Thank goodness I don't. 3 hours of my life back. But besides that, 2016 has been an extremely transformative year for me. Not only did I leave my corporate job, I started my business. I got married in July of this year. So truly kind of living in the spirit. And, I study a lot of numerology. the spirit of 2016, which adds up to the number 9, sort of the end of that numerical spectrum, and sort of the rebirth of a new. That's literally been the spirit of my personal path through 2016. So it's amazing how that all works out.
Yeah, really. Thanks you for sharing that about numerology and just like 2016. So for all of our listeners, if they're feeling like there's some things that are coming to an end, there's this natural conclusion and natural wrapping up of like, wow, I'm moving into another realm. It's supported through what's happening with the planet. So I know I've had a lot of that this year myself. It's been, when you're going through it, it's exciting and it's also a bit terrifying. How was it for you when you were, in that corporate job, just feeling like this doesn't feel right? Like, how did you rectify that?
Gosh, so it's actually not just been this most recent corporate job, but I spent 15 years in corporate finance. Honestly, always sort of blaming myself and thinking, gosh, what is wrong with me? Like I went to college and I studied finance and then I got my MBA, right? That traditional corporate path that everybody, says that that's what you should do. And my whole life, even from a young age, just being a nonconformist, always having a questioning mind and just believing that like there is a higher purpose, right, to life, and just never really feeling that on a day-to-day basis, really throughout my life. And then that transpired into my corporate life. So honestly, I just think about all the stress and anxiety that I suffered on a daily basis. And most recently, it was actually January. So we had a couple weeks off in my corporate job. And, luckily enough, so we had Christmas and the holidays. And I remember that first week in January, thinking about going back. And I literally had just a mental and physical breakdown. And I told my husband now, but I can't do this. Like, I just can't subject myself to this death. I mean, literally, I felt as if I was obviously in complete, misalignment with who I really am, but just literally dying a slow death every single day that I went in that car. Literally the podcast, thank God for you, what was my saving grace every morning, that I had something to look forward to. But for the hours, that I got to my desk until I left, it was like I was just living almost like a facade, like somebody that I really, it's not me, and that's what I felt, the spirit of, this is not me. I am destined for something greater. I have this message that, and I'm in corporate finance, I'm sitting in spreadsheets all day and I'm not voicing, who I am. I'm not letting the world know everything that I have to offer, and really just not standing in my own power.
Yeah. You are not meant to live in spreadsheets all day. That's not you. That's not what Jessica was designed to do. And you really had this courage to listen to that. And so what was it was your fiance at the time. What was his response as you were sharing this with him? You're engaged to get married later that year, and you're just saying to him, like, I can't do this anymore. This is not me. How did he receive that? And how did that impact your relationship at that time?
I'll be real. It was obviously very stressful. I'm definitely more of the risk taker in the family. But you know what? I'm extremely blessed in that he's been so supportive. The first thing I remember he said to me was, all I've seen you is suffer, right? In your corporate life, when you're with me, obviously everything's good, but I see this person that you feel you have to be, right, for 8 hours a day, and it's not you, and I don't want to see you suffer. And he said, and I believe in you. And he continues to tell me that, as I go through my journey. He's like, if there's anything I believe in this life, it's you and your potential. And that is, it's infinite, it's unlimited. And he said, I support you wholeheartedly, and as he said, we're a team, we're in this together. We're engaged at the time. So obviously it's challenging because we're thinking about building this life. But again, it's also enlightening and exciting, right? Because what is a more perfect time to do that and really take that risk when you're building this new life together? Yes.
Yeah, I love that. That was something that I felt, you were doing this essentially a bit earlier than when, age was different, but I was in corporate. I had been married for a couple of years when the itch just became too unbearable, to live with, of like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm making the money, or, being able to have these experiences, go places, buy things, not really think about that or worry about that. but I felt like, I knew that parenting was in my path, like children were going to come into the mix at some point, and I literally was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that parenting thing and be working here, living this New York City life. I know a lot of people just do it, they roll with it. Doesn't seem to be that big of a deal, but for me, it felt insurmountable, and I really had to kind of let go and let this fake castle, if you will, crumble to the ground to see what was left, just kind of be able to sift through the rubble and go, okay, well, now here we go. We build from here. And so that was really the path that you went on in this calendar year in 2016. I want to commend you for that. So you're having having these feelings, and you're starting to listen to the podcast, reading the book. And what was the kind of that light bulb moment for you where you said, coaching, that could be something?
Well, actually, it's been in my mind for many years now. I think what really did it in, and sort of a lot of the work that I do is inspired by my own personal journey. So while, I was suffering in the corporate world, I was also suffering physically. I've been every size on the women's scale, right? Mind, body. So it's like your mind is at disarray, and then it starts to affect you physically. And like I always like to say in terms of, weight loss specifically, but your overall wellness is that it's the addiction that you wear every single day, right? So alcoholics or drug addicts, they can hide that addiction. But when you're addicted to food, and food was my solace, it's out there for the world to see, right? Everybody can see my weakness is that, I love food and I find comfort in that. And sort of in seeking my spiritual path, I found that's my calling, right? That's what I struggled with. I struggled with my mind and sort of the negativity and trying to live this fake castle, so to speak, as you say. But that also transpired to my physical health. And at the end of the day, it just came to a point where I couldn't live that life anymore. I mean, obviously, I wanted to get fit for the wedding, but beyond that, I never really embraced what it was to live it, right? Not just on a program, but to live the spirit of being alive, right? Mind and body, and just fully just reviving myself. And that's what I call 2016 this year is the year of my revival, of my rebirth. I feel almost as if I've been reborn. And so that's really what I just kind of got to such a low point that I remember even that pain became physical, right? The became physical pain. I actually have scars on my stomach from that pain, from gaining so much weight and from being so uncomfortable mentally, physically, and just having this breakdown really just got me to a point in March, I think, of 2016 when I really, I took my business by the horns. That was the year prior in 2015, but then I took my health by the horns and I said, you know what? If you don't have health in your life, what else do you have, right? That's the spirit of what I bring to my business, is that to me, everything starts. Health is the foundation, right? Health of mind, health of body, and that will fuel everything else that you desire for your life.
Yes, 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 yes. And your testimony is so powerful. I mean, this is something that you live and breathe. You're so passionate about it. Everything that you put out there in social media, I mean, it's like you living this vibrant life, you feeling alive. And that was something that you came up with. You really have an acronym for the word alive, right?
Yes.
What does that stand for, Jessica?
So ALIVE stands for alignment of love, inspiration, vitality, and energy. So if I think about mind and body, right, the physical and the spiritual world, love and inspiration is the spiritual component, vitality and energy is the physical component. And by immersing, right, those four energies is my key really to living this vibrant life, to feeling and living your most alive self.
Yes, fabulous, fabulous. So earlier this year, you joined Get Gutsy Coach Training School. You might have joined late last year, and it started in January, right? So we did pretty much January through April. And when you came in, were you planning on leaving your job? What was the plan with the job situation while you were training simultaneously?
So I actually remember one day at work, I think I was on your website and I was just, seeking more information because I was so empowered from your podcast. Mm-hmm. And I think I saw like coming soon, Get Gutsy training school. Mm-hmm. And it was this point where it's like, I don't know what she has going on, but I want to be a part of it. It's like whatever Jenny offers, like I'm in. It wasn't even a thought process as to, can I make this work? Is it worth the investment? I'm in, both feet in, right? Fully diving in. And so I remember I actually signed up, I think it was like a waiting list in December. Mm-hmm. As that became available, I remember purchasing it at work, and that was like the best day of my life. That was just like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm doing. If I'm not mistaken, I invested in December. Mm-hmm. And boom, as soon as I quit, I felt really good about it because I'm like, I have a plan. I'm going to go into coach training school. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fully get this thing off the ground, mm-hmm. right? Learn how to be a coach. Because, as you always preach, and I'm a firm believer in that, that's what drew me to you, is that there's a lot of, quote, coaches out there, right? But do they really understand the foundations of being a coach? Like, mm-hmm. what is it all about? What do you provide your clients? Thinking the spirit of coaching. And that's something that I very much wanted to be a part of. Mm-hmm. And it's just been an incredible journey.
Yeah, and you were an amazing student. You really came in with all this energy, eyes wide open, let's go, doing the homework, really taking advantage of peer coaching. How was that experience for you, being coached and then coaching somebody else?
Completely transformational. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because the woman who coached me, Peggy Everson, mm-hmm. We still talk
mm-hmm.
We actually talked every week, even after coach training school, mm-hmm. Still kind of like coaching each other in a sense, in a co-creative. Mm-hmm. And then the student that I coached, we also continue to stay in touch, and she's actually one of my clients now.
Love it.
So it's just been an amazing, transformational experience. I was actually, I get sort of stage fright. So my initial thought in the peer coaching was like, oh my gosh, like, who am I, right? Like, I don't know what to say, and how can I coach someone else when I'm on my own journey? And sort of being in that space of peer coaching really made me realize that I know everything and I have all the answers. It's mm-hmm. just a matter of unleashing it. Mm-hmm. From what is already deep within myself.
Right. And knowing also that, yes, we do contain a lot of answers inside of us. And then one of the most powerful tools we have as a coach is to simply ask questions mm-hmm. of our clients. Say, hey, how do you feel about that? What do you feel the next step is? And just, it like frees us from feeling like we have to be the guru. We have to be the one who is like 18 steps ahead. We really are co-creative partners with our clients. And I love that you develop such close relationships with those amazing, fellow students who it was not a surprise. It wasn't just like a fluke that you were paired up with them. That is how the universe works. Like, we are meant to meet certain people, and they just so happen to come into this training school the same time we do, which is, it just cracks me up. It totally cracks me up how that all comes into play. So how have you, just tell us more about your business and how you've developed things. What are you focusing on now? What are some of the initiatives that you have experimented with?
Okay. So right now, sort of the core of my business is focusing on these 3 keys. So mm-hmm. Nutrition, movement, and mindset. Mm-hmm. And so when I mentioned sort of living and feeling your most alive self, it's a matter of first empowering the mind to really think differently, because nutrition and movement, and that's all very key. But if your head is not in the game, as I like to say, and your mind, you're not thinking properly, you're not going to sustain it, right? And so what really keeps you motivated along this journey is sort of learning how to shift your thoughts to think differently, to really align yourself fully, immerse yourself, as I say, in love and inspiration. But even more powerfully, is to really just empower your mind to think differently, and then fueling your body, right? Empowering your body similarly through proper nutrition and movement. And so sort of together, by immersing all of that, you have the recipe for true success, for actually living it, living it, breathing it, feeling it, not just sort of being on a program, but really capturing the spirit of making this a lasting lifestyle.
I like that. Nutrition, movement, and mindset. So that's where you focus with your clients. And so you're primarily working one-on-one privately with clients?
Yes, I'm working privately right now, one-on-one with clients. I have a number of packages. All are 3 months in length. Really, the only difference between the three is, exposure to me and sort of, how much hand-holding you want sort of through the process. And actually right now I'm amidst of building a group coaching platform that will launch in early 2017.
Nice. And you are very present on social media, and you have your own Facebook group, a free Facebook group. Tell us more about that and what was the genesis of starting that group?
Yes, absolutely. So I do have a great presence on social media. I love being on social media. Actually, how I had started is as you mentioned earlier, when I was in corporate, that was sort of my outlet. That was, I remember actually, I used to go to the bathroom sort of in these stressful moments and go online and post and connect. And that was sort of my way to disconnect from that feeling of not really being present in my current job. And that's sort of how I started that. My group on Facebook is called Alive with Jessica Silverman, and sort of how I started that is to bring the community that I had established through my own personal page to a more private community, really get in touch with those people that I've connected with online. And I connect with women all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, England, and of course the United States, and really just bringing everybody to this beautiful, gorgeous community of inspiration and love, and similarly loving yourself, right? Loving your body, because your body, as I like to say, it's the only place you have to live. So really just treating yourself with the proper, as I like to say, exercise your mental muscle just as you do your physical muscle, and really just empowering yourself to truly live and stand in your power, to become in alignment with who you really are.
Yeah. And you do a great job with your Facebook group. That's definitely a strategy, if you will, that we like to talk about within Get Gutsy Coach Training School, because, coaches are leaders. We are tribal leaders. We're teachers. We're guides. We have something to say. We have a real passion for helping people. And one of the key elements that we want our students and even our listeners right now who are considering becoming students in Get Gutsy Coach Training School to realize is that being a confident coach is absolutely critical, and it's not enough. You also need to understand that if you want to do business online, which the vast majority of our audience does, right? Like they want to have this business that they can touch clients and prospects all over the world through a podcast, through social media, through email marketing, through just putting your work out there, then you have to understand all these different elements that are available to you. You need to have a grasp on technology. You need to have a grasp on social media. It doesn't mean you have to be on every single platform available, because that would just get crazy. I know I'm not. I'm on about 3, and I very much leverage 2 of them when it comes to social media, but I'm in a lot of different, media channels, and that's something that I've developed over time. But I want to commend you with the Facebook group, Jessica, because it was a very wise move. You really love your people. You nurture that group. You are always posting, high value pieces of content, and it's definitely something that can be very effective for coaches, depending on your business model. I know it's something that I think we only launched our Facebook group just over a year ago now. It feels like it's been forever, but it's been everything seems to be like a year for me because we really just kind of looked at where we were going. Get Gutsy Coach Training School came on the scene in April of 2015, and everything just opened up. Like the universe kept sending me signs that I really needed to step into this path of supporting coaches and own my expertise, own my commitment to serving coaches. And that's when everything just kind of, it was like a flood happened. And all those things that we were able to do, which I know you're going to be able to do these things too. You're already doing them, Jessica, but all these things that we did over this last year led to us being named a finalist for Coach of the Year through the Stevie Awards for Women in Business. And so I want our listeners to take that in. There's these moves that you can make in your business. And, for those of you who haven't really come into alignment with like, oh, I want to be a coach and I'm going to train, I'm going to learn, from a team of amazing people and be around an awesome community, like that's your first step. But once you make that step, it's also being really wise about how you want to design it. So how is your life now? Like, how is your lifestyle, Jessica? You live in Northern California. You have these clients. How does it feel to be doing work that lights you up?
As I said, it's a true awakening. I feel, as I said before, reborn. I mean, that's really the best way I can explain the spirit of it. Like, I'm a runner. I love running. And every time I go, like yesterday, I went for a run in the morning at 11 o'clock. And I think to myself, gosh, how blessed am I? Like, when I was in corporate, like, this is not something that I could have done. I have the freedom to do whatever I want, when I want, to work with my clients when it works best for me, when it works best for them. But even more so is that I have the time to really tap into what lights me up, right, on a daily basis. And I actually did a live stream in my group yesterday, really stressing this to my people, is that, you know, you've got to take care of yourself first. And I talk to them after my run, because first you must pour yourself before you can pour for others. And that's how I can be the best version of myself every day, you know, online and social media, and my presence is by really taking this time for myself. And that's something that I didn't have a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I was actually just talking to my husband last night about, you know, money and stuff like that. And I left a significant amount of income. I mean, I live in San Francisco. It's not easy to make it here in general. But I left a 6-figure job, and I said, gosh, you know, I do kind of miss the stability of the income. And then my husband looked at me and he said, but that's all you had. All you had was stability. Think about all these other things that you've brought into your life over this past year that you don't have. And in the end, I can build from that, right?
Yes.
And I think that's really that spark that just ignited the fire within me to leave my corporate job, was just thinking to myself that, you know, the worst case scenario, and I know you teach this in coach training school, sort of, what's best case, worst case scenario. And I thought to myself, what's the worst that can happen, right, by making this leap, right? I'm homeless and I end up on the street. I mean, obviously, God forbid, that's never going to happen. But the worst case, right, I have the education. I can go back to where I was, right? That's the worst case scenario. I can go back to where I am. But the potential, right, to grow and to just explode is so much greater. And I said, you know what? That's something that I'm willing to risk on myself, right? Being a financial guru, risk return. I said, you know what? Now I'm going to invest in myself. Now I'm going to take that risk, because I believe in myself wholeheartedly. And that's something that I'm willing to bank all of my time and energy on, and money.
Yes, yes. And you won't lose. You are somebody who does the work. You're willing to experiment. You do the spiritual work, which is really one of the most important parts of this. I truly believe, in this year in particular has shown it to me big time, that spiritual growth equals business growth. And yes, I too very much missed that every 2-week paycheck. You know, in the corporate world, it was like, I call it like it's like the hit, you know, it's like the drug hit, like the dopamine hit. Like, you just got your fix, you know, you got that every 2-week paycheck. It was pretty standard. I was in a place where I'd also get bonuses, so that was special too. And, but yeah, it was like, the ability to go running at 11 a.m. on a weekday, not happening unless you were on vacation or you called in sick and just needed a mental health day and went out running. You know, when I was going to yoga classes after I quit my corporate job, like during the day, 10 a.m. class, 11 a.m. class, going, this is so amazing. And then you're looking around going, and who are these other people who were out here too? Like, they're not in an office doing that thing. So what do they do? And I started realizing, oh, there's this whole other life. There's an entirely new world that was here the whole time, but I didn't know it. Like, I just thought, well, everybody does this thing. Like, they go work in an office and you get your big paycheck, and then you just really look forward to your vacations, and maybe you'll get, you know, X amount of weeks a year. And that's it, you know? And like you, I just could not stomach that. It was like, this can't be it. Like, this really, come on. Like, this can't be the thing that we're just supposed to suck up for decades until we, you know, have the countdown to retirement, which seemed like that was very much what I saw. And I just had to trust there was another way. So I'm so glad that you trusted that there was another way. You pursued that. You're doing it. You're helping people. You're living you're just living your truth, and you're sharing that energy of yours. And I'm I just know that you're going to continue to thrive. You and your husband are going to continue to grow together as a couple. It sounds like he really supports you, and that brings so much joy to my heart. And you and I had the chance to work together. I was out in San Francisco earlier this year working with my coach, and I put out to my community like, hey, I want to do a VIP day while I'm out in San Francisco and go help somebody in my tribe. And you said yes. It was a few weeks before, maybe it was like, 1 or 2 weeks before you were getting married when we had your VIP day?
Yeah, a week before.
We had a blast. What was the name of that hotel where we met? Do you remember the name of that place?
Oh, it was in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It was so great.
I can't remember the name, but we actually took a trip and we stayed there like a month later because I loved it so much.
Oh, good.
And I was like, I got to stay at this hotel that Jenny and I did our VIP day.
Oh, I love that. But the Shattuck, I think it was the Hotel Shattuck Plaza, if I remember. Yes. It was right there in that main strip in Berkeley. And then after VIP day, I was like, we need to go to yoga. And so you were able to reschedule, like picking up your husband. And we went to this great yoga class at Yoga to the People. Oh, my God. That was one of the best classes I've ever been to. Like, it was so good. Those teachers are I think I went to 2 classes while I was staying at that hotel during that trip. And I tend to do that when I travel. I'll like make sure I pick a hotel that's near a really great yoga studio, because I know that's like, you need your running, you need your, your wellness outlet. For me, if I can get a yoga class in, like several during a trip, I'm my best. I'm at my best. And I think that's one of the cool things that we do as coaches too. A lot of our clients come to us, even if it's not specifically for wellness coaching, like I know a lot of your clients are coming to you for that, but for mine, they're coming to me going, Jenny, I'm exhausted. Jenny, I'm moving into my workaholic ways again. They're successful in their work, but that piece starts falling away. And so my training in yoga and just my real love of taking care of yourself is something I get to coach my clients around too. So I want our listeners to really take that in, Jessica. Whatever our passions are, whatever our expertise is, we can do that as coaches. Like we weave that in with our clients. And I was talking to somebody for another podcast interview, and they realized like, oh my gosh, this thing, I didn't realize that I could actually make a living out of the thing that I love talking about.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, we kind of we were fed a different idea. And you and I went to the same college, University of Florida.
Yes, we did. Go Gators.
Go Gators. Go Gators. So cool to see how our paths have crossed and intersected and taken us, around the world and back again. And I'd love to give you the opportunity to tell our listeners how they can find you online. How can they stay in touch with you and find out about your great work, Jessica?
So they can find me online at my business website, and that's Mozen Wellness. So that's MOZEN wellness.com. Actually, funny enough, Mozen does stand for something. It is a play on Zen, but Mozen also means balance. Beautiful. So if I think about the spirit, right, of aligning these two energies of mind and body and true balance and bringing that all together. Mm-hmm. So mozenwellness.com, as well as on Facebook, you can find me in my group, Alive with Jessica Silverman, as well as my personal business page. So Mozen Wellness, sustainable and balanced.
Nice. Okay, so everybody go check her out. Lots of great wisdom for you, inspiration, get you on that path, feeling really great in your body, doing everything that you are meant to do during this lifetime. Jessica, this has been amazing. I'm very, very curious about the answer to our finale question, which is, what is the gutsiest move you've ever made, and how does it inspire your life and work today?
The gutsiest move I've ever made, I'm still making. So actually, if I think about leaving my corporate job, right, that was a very gutsy move. But I sort of had a little bit of a backburn, right? I had some money in savings. Now it's every day is sort of a new beginning for me. And it's just continuing to trust in myself, to trust in my business, to not know how it's all going to work out, but just to go forward anyway, right? To face the fear and to move and to go and to just believe in yourself, to believe in this higher purpose, right? That I knew I was destined for living in corporate, and just to stand in that power. And that's what I bring to my clients as well is just to trust, to have faith, to know that at the end of the day, the universe has your back as long as you believe, right? It all starts with the mind and transpires into the body. But as long as you stay committed, you stay focused, as you said, I'm a good student. It's because I believe in my mission and I believe in everybody. We all have this power within ourselves. It's just a matter of digging deep, getting within, getting still, and just really living in it and standing in that power.
Well said. All you gorgeous listeners out there in the galaxy listening to this episode of Get Gutsy, what do you believe? What are you willing to bank on? How much do you believe in yourself? Do you really believe that you are good enough and that you are worthy and that you can take a chance on the next step in this gorgeous story that is your life? You are writing it right now. Nobody can write it for you unless you let them. So what Jessica did was she said, I'm going to reclaim my story. I'm going to write it. I'm going to live it. I'm going to live every day with faith and belief. I'm going to trust, even though I don't know where it's all going, how it's all going to work out, you trust that it is absolutely going to be amazing and better than you could ever conjure up with your rational mind. So congratulations, Jessica. Such a pleasure having you here on Get Gutsy, watching all of your moves, watching you get married, watching you really serve your clients at high capacities. I know that you literally, this is the beginning of the next chapter for you, and it is going to be beyond your wildest dreams. So know that I hold that for you very, very deeply. Very honored to have had that pleasure of working with you out there in Berkeley. We'll never forget that experience that we had in that beautiful suite overlooking Berkeley, just kind of vibing on that awesome energy.
Absolutely.
So cool. And everybody go check Jessica out. Keep coming back. I mean, y'all, you heard it. This is our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. And look what the podcast has done. Jessica found out about me through the book. And then, hey, oh, wait, she has a podcast too. She eventually joins our coaching school, Get Gutsy Coach Training School. And then she quits her job, creates this gorgeous life for herself, helping people and just doing it, like feeling awesome, having that freedom that she knew was out there for her. So what are you willing to do today as you think about the next step on your journey? This is Jenny Fenig sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Get Gutsy with Jenny Fenig. Gutsy leaders unite and ignite.
This episode of Get Gutsy was brought to you by Get Gutsy Coach Training School. This is the program teaching the future generation of coaches how to make a difference and a great living. So if you haven't figured it out by now, I have built my business around this calling of a coach. That is what my podcast is based on. My book is based on that. The courses and programs that I've developed over the years have really allowed this calling of me being a coach to get unleashed in the world in such a massive way. And I am able to be a confident coach because I went through coach training. I learned what it took to be strong and supportive for my clients, and also how to be a phenomenal entrepreneur, a smart marketer, and a savvy business owner. And I realized that there was a total gap in the market for those of you out there who want to train under a successful coach, a successful entrepreneur, someone who walks her talk, is able to provide that gorgeous sacred container for you to claim your expertise and gifts, for you to package up the gorgeous value that you add to the world, and for you to be able to create a lifestyle that is beyond your wildest dreams, for you to be able to help as many people as you care to during this lifetime. And truly, being a coach is just, it's completely epic. So we are in the throes of our enrollment period for Coach Training School. I invite you to check it out. It is going to be absolutely extraordinary. We'd love to serve you in Coach Training School. Come on over and check it out. It teaches you exactly what you need to know now to truly make it as a coach, and you will not find anything in the market quite like this or at such a huge value. Come check us out, coachtrainingschool.com. That's coachtrainingschool.com. Gutsy coaches unite.